Okay, I need you to picture something. There is a nut. A round, dark nut with a shell so hard that cows and tapirs, animals with enormous teeth and massive digestive systems, have to swallow it whole. They can't bite through it. They swallow it, wait for their whole digestive system to soften it, and then they can finally eat it.
That's how hard this nut is?
Right. Now, there is one bird in the whole Pantanal whose beak is strong enough to crack it open directly.
One bite to do what an entire cow digestive system does.
And that beak, the strongest ever measured in any parrot, is also the same beak that gently preens its partner's feathers one at a time every single evening.
That is our animal this week. Welcome back to the Fenekie Explorer Club. Every animal is a superhero in disguise.
Calling all Fenekins!
This week we're heading to the Pantanal wetlands of South America, and we've found something extraordinary.
There's a bird there that looks like a piece of fallen sky, and its beak can crack open nuts that would stop a machete blade.
Let's go.
Okay, before we get into the superpowers, which I am very excited about, I want to just set the scene, because I don't think people realize what the Pantanal actually is.
It's one of the most extraordinary places on Earth. The Pantanal is the world's largest tropical wetland. It covers about 150,000 square kilometers, which is roughly 58,000 square miles. It straddles parts of Brazil, Bolivia, and Paraguay, and it has this incredible seasonal pulse. It floods dramatically in the wet season, and then the water pulls back in the dry season, and the whole ecosystem reorganizes around that.
So it's not like one fixed thing. It's breathing.
It's genuinely breathing. And what lives in the Pantanal is extraordinary. Jaguars, giant otters, caimans, capybara in huge numbers, and the highest density of some bird species anywhere on the planet, including our bird this week.
Which is the Hyacinth Macaw.
The Hyacinth Macaw, Anadorhynchus hyacinthinus, if you want the full scientific name. Our character this week is Blue, the sky giant, and the storybook is Blue and the Unbreakable Nut.
Beautiful title. So the first thing anyone notices about the Hyacinth Macaw is the color.
It stops you. There's no other way to describe it. This bird is cobalt blue. Not teal blue, not gray blue, not sort of blue. It's the deepest, most saturated, most unapologetic blue of any bird in the world, from beak tip to tail tip. Uniform cobalt blue.
And it's not painted on, right? It's not pigment the way a bluebird is blue.
No, this is structural color. The feathers have microscopic structures in them that scatter light in a way that produces the blue. If you crush a feather, the blue disappears. It was never paint, it was always light.
That's beautiful and also a little unsettling.
It's pure physics, and what makes it even more striking against the gold grasslands of the Pantanal, this cobalt bird against the golden dry season landscape is almost theatrical.
Okay, what about size? Because I looked at pictures and I was not prepared.
So the Hyacinth Macaw is the largest flying parrot on Earth, about 1 meter from the tip of the beak to the tip of the tail. That's 3 feet 3 inches. The wingspan is roughly 1.2 to 1.5 meters, which is 4 to 5 feet, wider than most doorways. They weigh between 1.2 and 1.7 kilograms, about 2.6 to 3.8 pounds.
That's a big bird.
That's a big bird, and I should flag one important precision here because this comes up a lot. There is a heavier parrot, the kakapo from New Zealand, which can reach 3 to 6 kilograms. But the kakapo is flightless. It can't fly at all. The Hyacinth Macaw is the largest parrot that actually flies.
So when we say Blue's the largest flying parrot, that's the accurate way to say it.
Exactly that. Largest flying parrot. And there is no contest. It's bigger than any other flying parrot by a significant margin.
And there are 2 yellow bits on the face.
This is the detail I love. On the cobalt blue face and the jet black beak, there are only 2 splashes of color. A bold ring of bare yellow skin around each dark eye, and a curved yellow patch at the base and corners of the lower beak. That's it. Just those 2 yellows. And together, they look exactly like a smile. A permanent, unwavering smile.
I've been looking at pictures all week, and I genuinely feel like they're happy to see me.
They have what people describe as a perpetual grin. Great Danes of the parrot world is a nickname.
calm, affectionate, gentle giants with this expression that seems to say, everything is absolutely fine.
The Great Danes of parrots, I love that. And they fly in pairs?
They're monogamous, mate for life. Once a pair bonds and they don't breed until they're 7 to 9 years old, so they have time, they stay together. They fly side by side, wings almost touching. They call to each other all day. Even inside a larger flock, the pair stays close. And they preen each other's feathers. That's the bond maintenance. The beak that can crack the hardest nut in the Pantanal also grooms each individual feather on a partner's face.
That detail gets me every time. Okay, superpowers. I can't wait any longer.
Let's talk about the beak.
The beak.
The Hyacinth Macaw has the strongest bite ever measured in any parrot on Earth. A study published in the Journal of Anatomy in 2025 by Harrison and colleagues, measuring bite force in parrots, found the Hyacinth Macaw at 538.9 newtons, measured in vivo in a living bird. Let's call it 540 newtons.
Can you put that in terms that mean something to me?
Sure. 540 newtons is about 121 pounds of force concentrated through the tip of that beak. The strongest bite measured in any non-parrot bird, the large ground finch from the Galapagos, is about 68 newtons. The Hyacinth Macaw bites about 8 times.
8 times?
8 times harder than the strongest biting bird that isn't a parrot.
And what does it do with that bite?
This is where it gets genuinely interesting. The main food source for the Hyacinth Macaw and the Pantanal is palm nuts, specifically the akuri palm and the bocayuva palm. About 90 to 94% of their Pantanal diet comes from just these two palms, and these nuts are extraordinarily hard. Macadamia nuts need about 300 psi to crack. These nuts are comparable. Most animals in the Pantanal literally cannot open them at all.
You said cows and tapirs swallow them whole.
They swallow the fruit whole, pass the nut through the digestive system, and then sometimes the Hyacinth Macaw finds the nut in the dung and cracks it there, now slightly softened by the digestive process.
So they're foraging in cattle dung.
They are, and they're fine with it. The point is, they can open the nut either way. The macaw does with its jaw what an entire cow digestive system does over 24 hours.
That's extraordinary. But you said it's not just raw strength. There's a technique?
This is what I find most impressive. The Hyacinth Macaw doesn't just bite down hard and hope for the best. It has a coordinated nut-cracking toolkit. It grips the nut with one foot. They have zygodactyl feet, which means 2 toes facing forward and 2 facing backward, like an X grip. So the nut is locked in place. Then it uses the lower mandible, the bottom part of the beak, to press and groove the shell, deepening a specific groove in the shell's surface. It repositions the nut carefully, checking the groove, turning the nut a fraction, pressing again.
It's methodical.
It's almost engineering. And there's one more piece of the toolkit that I think is the wildest detail.
Tell me.
The tongue. The Hyacinth Macaw's tongue is dry, smooth, and muscular, not wet and soft like ours. And inside the tongue, there is a small bone.
Inside the tongue.
A bone. Inside the tongue. It acts as a built-in tool for tapping the nut, for holding it steady, for feeling when the groove is positioned correctly. The tongue is part of the toolkit. Beak, foot, tongue, all working as one precision system.
So it's not brute force. It's precision engineering with brute force available.
That's a perfect description. And there's a beautiful scientific detail on top of this. The beak tip has what's called a bill tip organ, a dense cluster of mechanoreceptors, sensory cells in small pits near the tip. This gives the beak extraordinary sensitivity. The same structure that concentrates 540 newtons of force can also feel the texture of a seed and manipulate it with surgical delicacy. Strength and gentleness in one tool.
That's actually kind of moving. Like, the same thing that's the hardest thing is also the most careful thing.
That's the Hyacinth Macaw in one sentence.
Okay, so we've established the beak. Tell me about home. Where does Blue actually live, day to day?
Blue lives in the Pantanal, and the Pantanal is open country. This is worth saying because a lot of people imagine parrots as jungle birds, deep in the rainforest canopy. The Hyacinth Macaw is not that. It lives in palm swamps, flooded grasslands, gallery forest edges, open country with enormous sky. That's its element, the open sky.
Hence the sky giant.
Exactly. And they fly fast when they need to, about 55 kilometers per hour, roughly 34 miles per hour. Those long, pointed tails stream behind them as rudders. A pair flying wing almost touching across the Pantanal sky is one of the more beautiful things you can see on this planet.
What about the nest? Because I read about the manduvi tree and I have questions.
The manduvi tree, Sterculia apetala. So about 94 to 95% of all hyacinth macaw nests in the Pantanal are in the hollow of one specific tree, the manduvi. Not various trees, one tree.
That seems like a very specific dependency.
It's a profound dependency. And we'll come back to why it's significant, but the mechanics of it, they don't dig from scratch. They find a gap, maybe made by termites, maybe by a woodpecker, maybe a broken branch, and they work it wider with their beaks. Days of carving. And the sawdust they carve out becomes the floor of the nest. They literally make their own mattress from their own work.
That's delightful.
The nest sits anywhere from about 2 meters to nearly 15 meters up. That's about 6 to 49 feet. The female lays 2 eggs, sometimes 1 or 3. She incubates them for 28 to 30 days. The male guards and feeds her during incubation. He flies out to find food and brings it back to her 4 to 6 times a day. She stays with the eggs, he keeps her fed.
That's very devoted.
And here's the reproduction timeline that surprised me. The chick doesn't fly until about 107 days old. That's over 3 months. And they stay with their parents for 16 to 18 months. And the parents don't breed every year because they're finishing raising one family before starting another. So reproduction is slow. Each family unit is precious, which is part of why conservation matters so much, but we'll get there.
What do they weigh when they hatch?
Just 31.6 grams. 5 grapes, roughly. They hatch blind, with sealed eyelids and sealed ear canals, almost completely naked. This enormous, powerful bird starts as 5 grapes of helpless, hairless creature.
And they can live how long?
30 to 50 years in the wild. In care, routinely 50 years, sometimes more than 60. A hyacinth macaw hatched today could outlive people reading about it now.
That changes how you think about the animal. If you protect a macaw today, you're protecting 50 years of life.
It's a long investment either way. And there's one more sensory detail I want to mention because it's wild. Hyacinth macaws, like all parrots, are tetrachromatic. We have 3 types of color receptors in our eyes. They have 4. One of those 4 cones is ultraviolet sensitive. They see a whole band of the world that is invisible to us. Patterns on feathers, ripeness of fruit, mate quality signals. Their world is literally more colorful than ours.
We've been walking around in the low-res version this whole time.
We really have.
Okay, I want to talk about the toucan.
The toucan.
Because I read something in the research that I still don't fully believe.
You're talking about the paradox.
I'm talking about the paradox. Tell me.
So, we established that the hyacinth macaw nests almost exclusively in the manduvi tree, about 94-95% in nests. The manduvi tree needs to be at least 60 years old before its hollow is big enough for a macaw. These are ancient, specific trees, and manduvi forest covers only about 6% of Pantanal vegetation, very limited.
So the home supply is already constrained.
Severely constrained. And for new manduvi trees to grow, the seeds need to be dispersed, carried away from the parent tree to new places where they can germinate and grow. That's how the supply of future homes gets replenished.
Who does the dispersing?
Primarily the Toko toucan. In a peer-reviewed field study by Pizzo, Donati, Geddes, and Galletti, published in Biological Conservation in 2008, toucans are responsible for 83.3% of all manduvi seed dispersal. 83%.
So almost all of the future manduvi trees are planted by toucans.
By toucans. And, here's the part, the same Toko toucan.
I feel like I know where this is going.
The same study found that the Toko toucan is responsible for destroying about 53% of the eggs that the macaws lose to predators. About 53% of egg predation is toucan-caused.
Wait, say that again?
The bird that plants 83% of the future manduvi trees eats 53% of the macaw eggs. The same bird. The bird that grows Blue's future home is the bird eating Blue's eggs right now.
I don't even have words.
It's a genuine ecological paradox. The macaw's future depends on the bird that threatens it. You cannot call the toucan a villain. You cannot call it a helper. It's both at different timescales.
So in the long run, you need the toucan to have macaws. And in the short run, the toucan is the macaw's main egg predator.
That's exactly right. And the people who work in conservation call it the conservation paradox. Protecting the hyacinth macaw might require protecting the toko toucan, precisely because they're entangled in this relationship.
That's the most beautiful and complicated thing I've heard in a while. It's not a story about heroes and villains.
It never is. In ecology, it's a story about webs. And there's another thread in this web. The hyacinth macaw is also a seed disperser. A study published in Nature's Scientific Reports documented over 1,700 seed dispersal events by macaws across 18 plant species. They're not gut passers like many birds. They carry nuts and drop them, sometimes far from the parent tree. When a macaw drops a nut it carried across the sky, that nut can grow into the next palm grove.
So they're planting the food forest for the next generation of macaws.
Which is also their own food forest because the palm nuts are what they eat. The macaw plants what it eats and eats what it plants. It's a closed, beautiful loop.
This is why the world can't just lose these animals. They're not just nice to look at, they're running the system.
They're a keystone. Scientists use the phrase functionally extinct over large areas for situations where the dispersers disappear before the animal itself technically goes extinct. The forest starts to fail before the bird is gone because there's no one left to move the seeds.
Okay, we have to talk about how things stand for the hyacinth macaw, because I know it's not simple.
It's not simple, but it is hopeful. Let's start with where things were.
The 1980s.
The 1980s were bad. The pet trade, at least 10,000 hyacinth macaws were taken from the wild during that decade. They were in huge demand, partly because of how striking they are, and a single captive bird could sell for around $12,000. Trapping plus hunting for feathers and meat nearly collapsed the population. By 1989, fewer than 1,500 birds remained in the monitored Pantanal area.
From a functioning population to 1,500 individuals in 1 decade.
1 decade of human demand. And that's when Neva Guedes entered the story. She was a biologist who saw a flock of hyacinth macaws in the Pantanal in 1989 and made them her life's work. She founded the Hyacinth Macaw Project, Instituto Arara Azul, in 1990. And one of the first things the project understood was that the shortage of nest cavities was a major limiter. Old manduvi trees take 60 years to make a usable hollow. There weren't enough. So they built artificial nest boxes.
Nest boxes? For macaws?
Designed specifically for hyacinth macaws, and installed them across the Pantanal starting in 1992. The project now monitors roughly 3,000 individual macaws across about 450,000 hectares. That's over 1 million acres. They tend 346 natural nests, plus 198 artificial nest boxes.
And the population?
By 2019, the Pantanal population in the monitored area had climbed to over 5,000, from 1,500 to 5,000, more than tripling through nest protection and nest boxes and conservation work.
That is a remarkable recovery.
It is. And the IUCN, the global body that tracks species status, moved the hyacinth macaw from endangered to vulnerable in 2014. That's the 2025 global assessment. Vulnerable.
So it improved?
It improved. But this matters. Brazil's own national red list reclassified it back to endangered at the national level in 2022. The reason? Habitat loss and wildfires are intensifying. The 2020 Pantanal fire season was a record. A 2021 study estimated about 17 million vertebrate animals were directly killed by those fires. And in August 2024, fires swept through nearly 80% of a major macaw sanctuary, the Cayman Ecological Refuge, in under 3 days. Century-old nest trees, gone. Palm groves that took decades to grow, gone. Right at the start of breeding season.
That's devastating to think about.
It is. The current global estimate is 2,700 to 7,500 mature individuals, a wide range because we're still understanding the impact of the 2020 fires. So the story is, we pulled it back from the brink once through determined work. The work isn't finished, and it's now harder.
If someone wants to help, what does that look like?
The Instituto Arara Azul, Naiva Guedes' project, runs an Adopt a Nest program. The donations fund artificial nest boxes, metal predator guards wrapped around nest trees, year-round monitoring, and emergency food after fires. After the 2024 fire at the Cayman Refuge, these were exactly the resources the team needed and was scrambling to fund. A small contribution directly funds a nest box that can fledge a family of macaws every breeding season. You can find them at institutoararaazul.org.br.
That's the 1% action. One nest, one family. Every year.
Every breeding season.
And the birds themselves, given the chance, they can manage the rest.
Given the habitat and the nest cavities, they manage beautifully. The trapping is illegal under CITES, the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, the strictest trade prohibition. Wild-caught birds are banned from international trade. The threat now is habitat and fire, not capture, which means habitat protection is everything. And the macaw has something going for it. It's hard to see a hyacinth macaw and not care about it.
That's the point of what we do.
Okay, Fennekians, we're going to do a quick check-in. Quiz time. 3 questions. Ready?
Let's go.
First one. The hyacinth macaw has the strongest bite ever measured in any parrot, about 540 newtons. What does it use that bite to open that almost nothing else in the Pantanal can?
Thinking.
The akuri palm nut and the bocayuva, the palm nuts with shells so hard that tapirs and cattle have to swallow them whole and wait for digestion to do the work. Blue can do it in minutes.
Second question. Blue nests in one specific tree almost every single time, about 94 to 95% of all nests. What tree?
Thinking.
The manduvi tree, Sterculia apetala, has to be at least 60 years old before the hollow is big enough, and manduvi forest covers only about 6% of the Pantanal, which is why nest boxes made such a difference.
Tricky third question. The Toco toucan does 2 things for the hyacinth macaw. One of them helps the macaw. The other one really doesn't. What are the 2 things?
The helpful thing. The Toco toucan is responsible for about 83% of manduvi seed dispersal. It plants the trees Blue needs for its nest. The not-so-helpful thing, the Toco toucan is also responsible for about 53% of the eggs the macaw loses to predators.
The same bird plants the house and raids the nursery.
Every time I say it, I still can't quite believe it's real. That one gets me.
I feel like every time we do one of these, I finish it knowing I will never think about the animal the same way again. And with the hyacinth macaw, it's a bird that looks like a piece of fallen sky that can crack open what nothing else in the Pantanal can, that mates for life, that uses the same beak to break a shell and gently preen a partner's feathers. And it's tangled up with a toucan in a relationship that doesn't have a good guy and a bad guy. It just has a web.
And the web is real. Every part of it is verified science. The bite force is in the Journal of Anatomy. The toucan paradox is in biological conservation. The seed dispersal events are in Nature's scientific reports. This is not poetic license. This is what the Pantanal actually does.
Which is more interesting than any story we could make up.
Always.
If you want to explore Blue's world with younger kids, Blue and the Unbreakable Nut, the storybook, and the bedtime narration version are both at Fenekie.com. And if you want to go even deeper, the Hyacinth Macaw Project at Instituto Arara Azul is where your 1% can go this week.
That's the hyacinth macaw, a real creature in a real place doing real things that sound like magic.
If you want to go deeper, the storybook, the pictures, all of it, find us at Fenekie.com.
Until next week, Fennekians, keep wondering.